Whole team.
Right, guys. So we got that in there. We got the little go team in there. So what we're going to be discussing on this little session today is regarding goals and goal setting. So you should have already filled in your goal setting questionnaire or your worksheet. If you haven't done that yet and you haven't had feedback on it, please make sure you fill it in. We need to get that done. Now, what we're going to do today is actually go through how to set yourself some targets and some goals on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, to make sure you're constantly chasing and pushing and working towards something rather than feeling a little bit lost, a little bit helpless, and a little bit in the wilderness. So today's exercise is going to be about refocusing, what questions to ask yourself. Chris is going to take care of all of that. The reason for it is a huge part of this program is to actually bring to your conscious mind your daily actions, your daily targets, and the things you need to do on a weekly basis to achieve your big goal, which is way down the line. So everything we're going to do today is going to be designed on refocusing and redirecting you towards that. So Chris, work your magic, bro. Take it away.
Hello, everybody. My name is Chris. So we were thinking about, I was thinking that we could include some sciencey stuff, some like nuanced stuff for you all, but we came to the conclusion that the deep intrinsic understandings of the inner mechanisms of the brain and all that jazz, you don't need to know it. Like, if you're already overthinking stuff, knowing more things is you're going to overthink even more stuff. So we're going to teach you something different instead. And as Alex said, we've decided that we want to give you the simplest thing that you can possibly do. So all we are going to do is get our nipples out in the middle of this session. I don't know how many of you saw that. But
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just so hot. I've got a radiator right here and I'm baking. I'm sorry.
You know what, mate? You know, everyone's going to be like, let me just scroll back. Let me just scroll back. Love it. So, as I was saying there before we were interrupted by a PG moment, is we're going to make it as simple as possible. And by as simple as possible, I mean, do the task. That's it. Even if you've not solved your problems yet, we're going to use a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. So even if you don't know how to fix the issues that you're currently dealing with, your brain will start to work on them for you anyway. All right. So it's the same concept as if I told you what you're about to say, Alex.
So much for not going neuroscience-y. And then throwing out the term
reticular activating system. But this is as simple as, like, they don't need to know about the parts of the brain or any of that stuff. It's literally as simple as long as you expose yourself to something every day, then your brain will work on it for you. Like, obviously in an ideal world, you would be going out and doing stuff for it. But the first step to solving any problem, Alex, they teach you this at lesson 1 of Alcoholics Anonymous. I've never been, but I've heard, is you have to accept that you have a problem. That's it. It's just the exposure to, which is what we're going to work on. So obviously by this stage, I would hope that you've all done your goal setting. If you haven't, you need to go and do it. You need to write something down that you think that you want. Something very powerful will happen when you record your stuff down. When you write it down, it becomes more tangible, if you will. And you are repeating something more times by writing it down, because you have to like think it, then you have to write it, and you have to say it to yourself while you're writing it, then you read it when you've written it as well. So that's already 3 levels of exposure, which is better than just thinking it. So as I said, that's as simple as this task is going to be. We are literally going to be exposing you to. Now, if you're wondering where this information is going to come from today, this little task, and it will be little, I promise, it's from a book called Goals Journal. Now, Alex, if you were to do any education or work about goals, or you had a place to write down goals, do you think the Goals Journal would be a good place to do it?
It sounds like it would be pretty spot on.
Exactly. It's the place to go. It's the Holy Bible for your goals.
Sounds like the kind of thing that you'd use to journal your goals.
Right. And what is journaling your goals if not giving yourself daily exposure to? So by this stage, you should have already done or found a level of SMART goals. All right, so they should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. All right. Don't worry too much if they're not, because we are going to get that stuff anyway. But that's how you want them to be at this stage. So I'm now going to take you to page 30 of the goals journal. All right. And this is where it all begins. So this is the first activity. So these are some of the questions that you need to be asking yourselves. It's really nice that you guys are like smiling and laughing at me while I'm talking. It makes me feel good. So if you don't have a piece of, I was about to say a piece of pen and paper, a piece of paper and a pen, we will whiz these sheets across to you for you to be able to actually type on them anyway. We will attach them. Obviously, they're not going to be on right now, but me, Alex, Rob will sort that out and we'll attach them for you. So you've got a digital copy too. But as we've already mentioned, writing down is far more powerful. We would all advise, as you can see, Rob there's got it nailed down. Rob, if you just like to do a bit of this, there you go, written down.
He forgot that he was on mute.
Oh, I was thinking that. I was wondering what was going on there.
That's my daily. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And specific goals for myself, my family, for my business, for you guys. Weekly, monthly. Yeah.
Love it.
Ideas. I think it's very important that I see it every day. It's very important for me to do that. So it's a constant reminder for me.
Love it. Rob's already got it figured out. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to work with the people who are struggling at the moment. We're going to teach you some of the questions that you want to ask yourself. So what we're going to do is we'll look at folks on bridging the gap. So kind of where are you currently and where do you want to get to? So these are some of the questions that we want to start asking. So these are the sort of things that you want to start thinking about, even if you don't kind of really truly know exactly what it is that you want. By asking yourselves these questions, we'll start to give you an answer, if that makes sense. All right, so the first one is, what are the most important changes that need to happen in your life currently in order to get from where you are to where you think you want to be? Now, I'm going to use the term think you want to be at the moment as well, because in my belief, and this is based on research as well, if you think that you want to be that thing, you do. You currently do. Otherwise, you wouldn't think you want to be that thing. Does that make sense to you too? You have a belief in you that being a specific thing, so let's just say confident, because a lot of people want to be confident. You have a specific belief about confidence that makes you think you want to be that. It's not that you think it, you actually do. It's just the first step. All right. So what are the most important changes that you believe you need to make in your life right now that will get you to where you think you want to be? Question one. All right. They can be big. They can be small. So it could be as small as, what was his name? Was it Admiral McRaven? Was that his name, or was he a general? Admiral McRaven, make your bed in the morning every day. All right. I bet Rob loves that one. I bet Rob's all over that one. I bet he's like, oh, I do that every day. Hey, that was a terrible accent. But make your bed in the morning. Okay. Or it could be.
I was just going to say, the way that I like to think about Admiral William McRaven and his success, if you want to turn it that way, is like he probably set out initially with the goal of being a Navy SEAL. Now, a fundamental part of being a Navy SEAL is running, push-ups, sitting in the mud, kind of drown-proofing, trying to get good at swimming, floating, working with firearms. Yet he dialed down the act of being a Navy SEAL to the very first task of the day, the most simple thing you could possibly do, which is to make your bed. And I think I spoke about this in some of the goal-setting feedback that I sent out, which is, if you've got something big you want to accomplish, don't overcomplicate the actions that you need to do. Like it is literally a case of setting up the dominoes and just topple the first one. and it's all about building momentum. That's everything we do in goal setting, performance, making progress is all about building momentum and moving in that forwards direction.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things that I found with that as well is, I mean, you know what I'm like, Alex. I'm the sort of person who likes to set up all the dominoes and try and just bash them all down at the same time. And that can result in not touching a single one of them. And that happens more frequently than not. So it is better to focus on the small increments. Go on, Alex.
Yeah, don't be the person who's forever setting up the dominoes. Like, you can be the smartest, most intelligent, athletic person, most wonderful person in the world, but if you're constantly sat around doing nothing but reading and learning and setting up your dominoes, you're never actually doing.
Well, a wise man once told me, the best way to get nothing done is to talk about it.
Yeah.
Less talk, more do.
I'll have a pineapple juice to that.
That was number one.
Yeah, and number two is we're going to break that down and make it very, very simple and easy for you all. So obviously number one was find what the biggest changes are. And then number two is as simple as, what is the smallest, simplest change that you could make right now? It's almost like Alex knew what the second question was going to be. Knock that first domino down. That is the second question.
Because I think one of the things that a lot of people talk about is they go, I just need to eat healthier. And you go, well, yeah, right? But like, what does that mean? Like, how are you going to create the conditions for that to happen? What do you define as being healthier? Like, what actions are you actually going to take? Like, it's all right going, I just need to eat healthier. But if healthier means you then go vegan for 6 months and eat nothing but celery, tomatoes, and dry chicken, like, I know it won't be vegan, but like chicken or whatever, like, yeah, it's healthier, but are you going to do it? Is it possible? Like, what do you actually define as eating healthier? So you have to consider that, think about that, then set it up and actually make it happen. Like, what are the actions that need to be in place for you to do that? Is it a case of you need to go shopping once a week, cook 2 main meals a week from very simple, healthy recipes, and then eat a consistent breakfast and lunch? That would be healthier. That would be a great way to start. You've come up with a definitive set of actions to make it happen, rather than just sitting around and overcomplicating it. Like, think about what's actually got to take place for that to occur. And if it is a case of, you need to cook healthier recipes, you need to have a look at the foods that you're buying. Well, you might need to get a recipe book. You might have to go online, have a look at a recipe there. You might have to consider the cooking equipment you've got in your kitchen. Maybe your kitchen, it comes down to it, your kitchen environment isn't set up in a particularly efficient manner for you to want to be able to cook. So maybe you need to consider changing that. Like, what are the conditions that you need to change and affect to get that end result? And, start lining it up.
Yep. And again, that leads straight into the next set of questions. So the next set are all about, if there are obstacles with that very first part and that very first step, the next question is as simple as, what resources are you going to need that will help you? That's it. Identify what they are. Find what you need to help take that first step and the second step and the third and the fourth and the fifth. But focus on one at a time. What are you going to need? What will you need access to? It could be money. That's a resource. It could be information. That's a resource. 9 times out of 10, though, it will be a case of just taking action and learn through experience rather than you actually needing to get something. Anything you guys would add to that question?
No, I think kind of you guys have explained, but knowledge, people say, well, knowledge is power. It's not. Knowledge is powerful when you use it. So go into the Facebook pages, go in and look at and find ways that you can create a space for yourself to be successful. If you want to be healthy, well, sometimes you might need to just get rid of everything that's in your refrigerator or your cupboards so that your environment is conducive to your success, you know, and it's creating a space for you to be successful. You know, Alex kind of, well, it's a great example. I want to eat healthier. Well, get rid of the things that stop you doing that, and then have a plan and go. And, you know, and I like to, you know, I think every day, I think a little bit before I go at night, and then I try and start every day with a purpose. What's my purpose today? Right away, boom, this is it. And you've got to write your goals down, and then you can create your purpose and that what you're going to accomplish, excuse me, what you're going to accomplish that day.
Yeah.
But create an environment for success.
I always say to people, and, you know, for anyone that is, you know, at whatever point in your life you're at that you're watching this, the one thing I would always say is that whatever it is you want, your mind already knows it. It knows it, and it knows how to get there. You have to believe that, and you have to trust that, because it does. Subconsciously, there are things going on that are wired to drive you to where you want to be, and to push you to the desires that you have. So what we actually need to get much better at is tuning into ourselves and paying attention to what those thoughts are. As soon as you do that, you can start, bang, put it into action. Like, if you've got a desire to be fitter, healthier, stronger, you might consistently have the thought, oh, I need to eat better. Oh, I need to stop eating as many takeaways, or I need to go to the gym, or I need to exercise a bit more. Like, that's you telling you that you need to go and do those things. Like, the universe is calling out for you to start acting and stop sitting on your ass all day. What you need to do is listen to it, actually pay attention to it, pay attention to yourself, and just go and get it, go and do it. Start acting, start doing.
Love it. And that leads on again onto the next question. The next question is, if there isn't something that you can do yourself right now, is there anything or anyone that you know that will help you take the first step? There's always going to be someone. Is there someone, a little tippy tip in the terms of Team Lenko, to add to that one, is there someone who has already achieved it? Is there someone who is in the position that you want to be in, or who has the thing that you want to have? Like, one of the things that's like that loads of people are mentioning now is you will become one of the what's the word? You will be like the 4 people that you spend the most time with. I think it's the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You will become the exact, a replica of them. And it's just because that's your environment. I remember talking to Alex in one of our first podcasts. We were saying, like, if you want to be a certain thing or have a certain thing, if you surround yourself, and this is what Rob said earlier, if you put yourself in an environment where that thing is the norm, like, again, if we use the healthy eating as an example, if your friends or if your partner, if your spouse, if your family don't eat well, you're in an environment where you're setting yourself up to have a much harder time doing it. If your closest friends and your family and the people that you hang around with all eat really well, you will inadvertently start eating well as well. It's as simple as that. Find those people who have that thing or do that thing, and it's normal behavior for them. I don't mean, like, sometimes it can work if you're all trying to do the same thing, because it becomes competitive and like you're against each other or you're with each other, like shared suffering sort of thing. But if you find somewhere that behavior is normal behavior for them, they do that day in, day out, you will eventually take on that habit and you will start portraying that same thing as well. So that question, just to reiterate, is there someone that you know or something that you know that already possesses or shows the things that you want? Find them, identify them. Could they help you? Would those things help you? Even if it's someone that you know wouldn't help you, you could identify, okay, well, this person does this, this, and this, or they do that, that, and that, or they have this, this, and this. Those things clearly work. I remember, Alex, I can't remember if it was like when you were here for Christmas, you were saying about success has a blueprint. And, there's so many books nowadays that are literally like, well, there's follow these 5 steps. because everyone likes to break it down into like less than 10 now to make it easy for people. But literally 5 steps, if there's 5 habits or 5 things that all the successful people do, you will get those results. That's it. It could be something in business. It could be something health and fitness. You could break that down into 5. It could be as simple as, like I always say, eat mainly plants, fruits and vegetables, and drink loads of water. Make sure you're moving every day, stay active, eat foods to sustain levels of energy. Don't eat foods that sustain levels of body fat. You'll be fairly healthy.
Excessive levels of body fat.
Or excessive would be a better word.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's perfectly valid. Like everything, you know, from the start of this program, what we put in there it is the blueprint to being fit and being healthy. Like we are not holding that back as a secret in any shape or form. And we're not overcomplicating it. I feel like we're making it fairly simple. Like, even if you can't do the workouts every single day, or maybe you miss a mobility session or whatever, like, life happens, we get that. But are you able to do something that gets you out of breath? Are you able to do something that pushes you a little bit? Are you able to drink enough water? Are you able to get good quality nutrients into your body? If you can do that, you're starting to give yourself a chance. You're toppling the dominoes. That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
You know, and sorry, Chris, I do like the fact that we're talking about goals here, because it's very hard to go from being in one particular spot and then changing it to the next day. You know, it's hard to go that drastic changes where people fail. So it's creating small habits and doing it on the daily. You know, if you want to get something really, really badly, you've got to be persistent. But if you want to keep it, you've got to be consistent. So it's the small incremental things that are done daily. You know, say I like to get up early, which do, you know, but getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning is hard for some people until they do it every single day. And then it becomes routine. And it's about what we're trying to encourage you to do is to create your routine for success. What is it that helps you be successful? We're all different, but if we can all be in the mindset that we need to do the things that will help us be successful and create your routine, then that's where you're going to have success. And it's being in the mindset of setting yourself attainable small things, because it all adds up.
Yeah, I think one of the most probably interesting questions or interesting conversations I had with a client, which really flipped their mentality on this whole thing, was, again, it comes back to the example of like, oh, I just need to eat healthier. I just need to eat healthy, almost as if it's a switch, like it's a healthy, unhealthy. I said, well, what if healthy eating isn't a switch? What if it isn't yes or no? What if it's not binary? What if it was a dial? What if it was like a scale, 0 to 10? Like, where are you placing yourself? So, and again, coming down to simplifying and doing the daily actions, if you go, right, okay, well, you say you need to eat more healthy, or you need to eat healthier, or make better food choices. Okay, score your food choices in your eating from 0 to 10 right now. Where are you putting yourself? Let's say you put it as a 5 or a 6. Right, okay, well, what's going to take it up to a 6 or a 7? Just think about that. Like, write that down. Actually be definitive of those small actions which are going to make it better. And then you can play that game all the way up that scale from your 5 or your 6 to your 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10. Like, what would perfect eating and nutrition actually look like in your life? Not just for you, but for your family as well. Consider that whole picture. And I can guarantee you, if you do the work on that, you'll probably find yourself going from, you know, even if it was a 2 or a 3, you'll find yourself going from that low end of the scale up to the 9 or the 10 a lot quicker than you think. So it's just about getting those definitive actions, finding those little dominoes and just knocking them. So I don't know if that was something you were going to go into, Chris, but I apologize if I spoiled anything.
No, not at all. It made me think about a story that I was telling you, something I was going through with Chris Warren, who's another educator who works with us. like outside of this, and he was telling us a story of the comedian, and I've lost his name. I can't remember his name, but he turned over something like 7 million in 1 year as a stand-up comedian, which is absolutely ridiculous. I think this was in 1996, something like that. I'll find the figures for you, but a young amateur stand-up comedian was at one of his shows, and he basically asked him, he said, what is it that you do to make you so successful? And he explained his story, and he was like, this is what I am. And I think he had a regular job, this amateur comedian, he had a regular job outside of comedy. And the advice that he was given was write one joke every single day, put up a calendar, write one joke in each separate day. And when you write the joke, you tick it off. You've done your job. And the idea was, one of the key things that the brain likes to do is identify you as a person, and you will live towards this certain identity. And if you've got certain things going on, blah, 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 if you're an engineer or something like that, you identify as that person. If you do one thing every day that is to your goal identity, you're moving on that track. And it's the exact same process Alex is talking about. It's literally knocking the domino over in the right direction every single day. That's it. That was the advice that he gave him, the stand-up comedian. And that's all he did. That's what he did to get to where he was. And obviously told a couple of jokes on the way as well. Because at the end of the day, if you've written a joke every day for 365 days, you've got 365 funny jokes. That's it. You can refine them. So what we're actually going to do now is that entire concept. So Rob's spoken about it. Alex has spoken about it. I'm talking about it. Daily disciplines, daily actions, figuring out things that you can do daily to knock a domino over in the right direction each day. We refer to it as like the AIM approach, which just stands for attention, intention, and repetition. It's basically the way that the brain, or one way that the brain learns skills, which is kind of how we want to break all our goals down. What skills do we want to learn, etc. So
did you say sorry? Did you say AIM or air?
Oh, I said AIM, but I meant air.
That's all right. Air. That's all right. So we'll just clarify air. You did it. You said it all right. Attention, intention, repetition.
You asked me a question there when you already knew the answer, didn't you? You gave me a chance there.
I didn't know if I misheard you.
Oh, okay.
I'm really sorry. I didn't know if I misheard you. I just wanted to double check.
All right. So the idea now is write these things down daily. I'm going to give you the questions that you can do daily. And what we want to look for is initially the barriers that are going to stop you from doing these things, obviously. But on top of that is making sure that you can actually find time to do those things. So give it attention, have intention, and repetition. As long as you write these things down first thing in the morning, like Rob said he does, your brain's going to start doing the rest anyway. You might not necessarily get this every day. You might mess up, and I guarantee probably most of you will mess up quite a lot. Not because of who you are, it doesn't make you bad people, but it's just what humans do. And life will happen. But as long as you can keep writing it down every day, you're giving yourself air, and you will eventually get better at it, and you'll move forward towards the goals. All right. So grab your pen and paper or the PDF document or whatever we attach this is. This is what we're going to do. All right. We're going to write down Rob's today goal. What is the goal of today? What is the purpose of today? It doesn't matter what language you use, as long as it's somewhat empowering. So it's not what do I have to do today, because that implies that it's kind of like a job or a chore, which is fine, but it's not very empowering. What are you going to achieve today would probably be my choice of language. Or Rob, what do you use for yours?
What do I get to do?
Oh, look at that. There you go. Simple. What do I get to do? All right.
Yep.
Working towards who you want to be is, it's what's the term I'm looking for? I'm looking for it's not a privilege. It's a privilege. It's a privilege.
It is a privilege. Like when you know people, I have to go to the gym. No, you don't. You don't have to go to the gym. You get to go to the gym.
Yeah.
You know, we sometimes, and I'm very I'm very aware, and I have been, and sometimes to my detriment, I'm very aware of how I talk to myself. And I also very aware of how other people, and I think the most important conversation that we'll ever have is the one that we have with ourselves. You know, negative thoughts, the way we talk to ourselves plays a massive factor on how we progress throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, throughout the year. And the 5 minutes that we get quiet time, you know, I think we should be really careful on how we talk to ourselves. And when we do so, that be aware of the language that we use so that it doesn't sound like a chore. You know, I don't have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm lucky that I wake up. I've got a day ahead of me. I get to get up at 5. I get to get a workout early. I get to get emails done and things done. And by 8 o'clock, I've already got a good chunk of the day done so that I can have the opportunity to do things later on in the afternoon that I enjoy to do with my family or with friends or whatever. And that's what I get to do. It's not what I have to do. That's my choice. And I find it, and I think if people here pay a little bit of attention on how they talk to themselves, I think they'd really be quite surprised how much pressure or negativity they apply on themselves by the way they communicate with themselves. So just be aware of how you talk to yourself.
I'd like to add to that as well. And this is purely from my experience. I don't know about you guys, but as men, it's something that we might sort of dismiss. We might hear Rob say that and think, that's not something I need to worry about. Actually, it is, and it plays a massive, massive role. I can't remember specifically the percentage of subconscious behavior and thinking that we actually do throughout the day. Like, we're literally on override for about 97%, I think it is, of the day. So we're naturally going to be using negative thoughts, negative talk, all that jazz. We want to try and override that.
There's a great book called As a Man Thinketh. Wonderful book. And
can we put that in the notes?
Yes, we can. As a man thinketh, you know, your thoughts, what you think, what you perceive, directs you down the path without even realizing it. It's taking you by the hand and leading you down. And you may set yourself boundaries, you may set yourself guidelines, but if you think in a different way, subconsciously you're moving those boundaries, and before you know it, you've crossed over, but you just don't even realize it. So you've got to think and I think you have to develop a great relationship with yourself and a great relationship with your thoughts and your mind. It's so important.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we're doing as well, particularly in this program, particularly in this talk too, it is all about gearing you guys and setting you guys up to be in a position of power and be proactive and productive with who you are, who you want to be, and achieving your goals. Like, a lot of what we do is just monotonous and automatic, and we're just kind of going about things, and a lot of the time we're just reacting to stuff. We want to take control and take power, and one of the easy exercises that you can do is literally just look at people, listen to when you talk to people. Are they talking like they are a victim? Obviously we call it the victim mindset. I'm sure everyone here has heard of that. Or are they talking like they've got control over their problems? Because if you're a victim and you're in the victim mindset, and we all do this, by the way, even daily, then there's as a victim, there's nothing you can do. It's out of your control. But that is never actually the case. It's just a state of mind that we go to sometimes.
I think that's an important point. Like, it is 100% a state of mind that we go to, where because of the way that our brains develop, and you think about the subconscious power that they have, we're all about, and the energy that it consumes, you know, it's all about creating efficient pathways so that it doesn't take as much energy. Like, you think about how much concentration and thought you had to put into learning how to drive a car. Like, you're observing everything, you're observing the road, cars coming towards you, signs, lights, you know, you've got a wheel in front that controls the steering, you've got pedals that control your acceleration, braking, then you've got to change gears, you've got to think about what gear you have to be. You think about how many things are actually going on in that scenario, whereas now, subconsciously, it's nothing to you. Like, you can do it easily. People have even mastered it to the point that they feel like they can drive, they can text, they can eat the fish and chips, they can do whatever they want while they're driving because they've done it to that level for so long. So it becomes a subconscious program. So the brain is all about taking shortcuts. What we generally have are very inefficient shortcuts that are all about keeping us safe and taking care of our needs and just making sure that we're comfortable. We know that we don't want to be in a place that's fucking comfortable. We need to get uncomfortable to be able to push through and break through and reach the next level. To do that, we need to form new shortcuts, new habits, and rejig our mindset just a fraction, like a fraction. And all that is accounting for those little daily actions. Those little daily actions will take us the rest of the way there. So if we can change the way that we think on a very, very small level, the end result will be a million miles apart.
Yeah. So we went on a bit of a tangent there, but this part now is literally, this is the daily questions, and you can break this down as microscopic as you want. It could be daily, it could be weekly, or what have you. We obviously recommend daily. And if that is the case, question 1 is, as Rob said, what do I get to do today? Or what am I going to achieve today? That's it. That's your attention. Thinking about exactly what it is that needs to be done. And you will know it. And I think one of the things that you might find with this question is, a lot of people will kind of wake up and there'll be something bothering them. You guys ever had that where something's really bothering you? That's the thing that you really need to do. Which is very unfortunate, I know, but that's the way it is. That's the way it is. The thing that's really, really eating away at you, or the thing that's really scaring you, that's the thing that you need to do.
Eat the frog, get it done.
Eat the frog, eat the frog. So rather than just writing down what it is you need to do, now that you've identified it, let's identify what exactly is holding you back from doing it. What stopped you from doing it thus far, or what would stop you from doing it today? Identify the obstacle before you even see it. As I said at the start, the reticular activating system, if you've already identified what it's going to be, and we're going to identify a solution in a minute, and you already know what that solution might be, that problem could occur during the day and you've not even noticed, and you've moved through your solution because you literally put the blueprint in your goal journal and into your brain, into your subconscious brain, and you've just moved straight through it.
So all I want to do now is just come up with a little example, just so that people have like an idea as to what we're talking about and the kind of result that we want to get from this. So something I actually spoke about with someone this week was, when it comes to someone had the goal of like, I want to be fitter, I want to be healthier, I need to get to the gym more. Right. Okay. Well, what's getting in the way of that? That was your second question, wasn't it? So first was, what was it? Identify the thing.
What's the goal? What do you want to achieve?
Identify the thing that you want to do, what lights you up, what gets you fired up, what do you get to do? I get to go to the gym, I get to train. Right. Okay. What's stopping you from being able to do that? Right. Now, if you're busy, if you're working long hours, if you're working hard, if you're working a long day, early in the morning, finishing late at night, then you've got to go home, maybe spend time with the wife, look after the kids. You've got to take the dog for a shit. You've got to then coach football. You've got to write training programs. You've got to, you have to take care of a lot of other people in your life. All right. It's going to be very, very difficult to fit that in time-wise. So something that we might then need to do is reframe, well, what does it mean to go to the gym? Does it mean that it has to suck? Does it mean that I have to be in there Monday through Friday? Do I have to be in there 5, 6, 7 days a week? The answer is no. Like, what you think it takes to get to your physical goal, which I'm assuming if you're going to the gym, you have a physical goal. What you think it takes to get to that physical goal can become more efficient if you take care of the things we're talking about in terms of breathing, sleeping, nutrition, and your training. Your training is a very small part of it. If you want to be lean and healthy and have good body composition, sound of mind, feel positive on a regular basis and full of energy, 2 gym sessions a week will take care of that. That's 2 hours. So the question is, well, where can you find 2 hours? Where have you got 2 hours spare, or where can you create 2 hours? Can you ditch something? Can you eliminate something? Could you delegate something? Could you have a conversation with someone that would create a bit of time? Like maybe it's a case of speaking to your partner or your wife or whoever it might be, maybe your boss, to say, look, I need to go and work out. I need to feel energized. I want to bring the best of me to what we do, like for a mutual benefit. Can you do that? Can you have that conversation to create that time for you to go and do that? If it's a case of, maybe single parent, can you get a babysitter? Can you get someone else to watch the kids for an hour and a half, 2 hours while you go to the gym? I mean, if it's a case of, you've got to go shopping, you've got to buy food, organize your time so you can do online deliveries. Find solutions to these things. So think about it that way. Take care of those things and give yourself the chance to actually get to the gym.
I love that. It's a great point. It's people will find excuses to not instead of finding a reason to do. If it's important to you, you'll find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. And it's that simple. I encourage you to respect yourself and love you enough to find a way to do it. If you can't get to the gym, we have a plethora of at-home exercises you can do. You've got to find a way to do it. If you want the results that you want to get, the only person that's standing in your way is you. You can create a place for you to be successful.
I would advise that people don't even start to play that game. Have you ever done it where you see simple exercises like write down what's a good example here? Write down a reason to do this, or write down an excuse not to do this. You will always find more excuses not to do it. And you will also find those excuses are far stronger than the reason to do it. Even though the reason to do it could be the goal, it could be confidence, it could be a lean body composition, it could be health, it could be being able to play with your grandkids until you're 85 or what have you. Even though that sounds very, very powerful, you will find that your excuse of not feeling very well today, or you're going to have to get up earlier tomorrow, or you just don't have the time, you will find that will outweigh it every time. If you get involved in that game, don't bother. Don't even play the game. Don't even play the game. On that was the next question. What is the solution to? So obviously the question before was, what's stopping you? What's the problem? What's the obstacle? The next one is obviously, what is the solution to that problem? As simple as that. Identify what the solution is. That's it. Find the solution. Then, when you've found the solution, the next part is, when are you going to do it? Set a time. This is intention now. Set a time. If you have a diary, write it in your diary. One thing that I do specifically that really fucks my girlfriend off is I set alarms. Well, not just my girlfriend, everyone that is ever around me. I set alarms, all right, for when I need to be doing stuff. And I'll set them obviously for before when I need to do them. But if you're around me, it does really annoy you because alarms are going off like every like 45 minutes or so. And if you're doing something, you can just snooze it and it'll go off again in 9 minutes. And it's just going to keep giving you the repetition. Oh yeah, I need to do that thing. Oh yeah, I need to do that thing. What I would advise is don't put it off on purpose, all right, just to satisfy yourself for the next 20 minutes. If the alarm comes up and you've got the availability to do it, do that thing. Keep putting it off. It's the same thing as snoozing in the morning. If you keep putting it off, it's going to make you feel worse. And it's going to become a bigger and bigger and bigger problem, because that's all that is at that stage. It's just something that's going to piss you off. Likewise, it pisses other people off. It's the same energy. That's it. So find out what the solution is. Identify when you're going to do it. Diarize it, ideally, because that will help. And the other thing that you can do on top of that as well that will help is, well, actually, there's two things. Tell someone else, get someone to hold you accountable. And especially if it is something that's really fucking scary, and by scary, So I'm training a client at the moment, right, who has like super anxiety to the point where you have to meet them outside the gym, walk them into the gym, show them around the gym so they can kind of like figure out what's going on, who's around, before you can do your workout. All right. Same thing with that. Like, and that's something that might sound ridiculous. It's just a worrying about other people watching you. It might sound ridiculous, but the threat scale for that person is there, and that might be the same threat for me as like a great white shark being 6 feet in front of me. So it might sound ridiculous, but it's very, very real to that person or to you. So do not beat the shit out of yourself for being scared of something that you might think is ridiculous. If you think it's ridiculous, it's just your brain saying, fucking go and do it anyway. So I won't worry too much about it. But what I would advise to counter that is give yourself a fucking pat on the back or a reward. When you accomplish this thing, what is your reward? Did you have something to say then, Rob? I feel like you've got
100%, honestly, and maybe it's the fact that I've spent a lot of time away, but we do not celebrate the small successes enough. Reward yourself, celebrate the small successes.
Be more American.
No, not necessarily.
Well, no, but I disagree. I think it is like give yourself a pat on the back, start whooping and hollering. Like, you know, we're so quick to jump on ourselves when we do something wrong or something doesn't go 100% right or it isn't perfect. We hammer ourselves for it, and we never have anything that contrasts in the other direction. Like having both emotions is perfect.
Well, and I think there's something that goes on in the brain, the euphoria of celebrating success, or the joy of succeeding, or the joy of accomplishing something will flip the way you think and how you feel.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I always am confused about is people are very, I would say, almost expectant that they should never feel bad. Like, if you don't think you should ever feel bad, that's your problem. Like, you have no divine right to feel great. Like, there are certain things out there that you should feel shit about. Like, if someone you love passes away and they die, like, that is not good. Like, you are entitled and supposed to feel shit when that goes off. And it just means that it gives you the potential to have such a contrasting emotion on the other side, but we never actually pay attention to that positive emotion. So yeah, I think, Chris, you're 100% right there. You've got to reward yourself, give yourself credit, pat on the back, give yourself some respect, and celebrate your success.
If we basically deduced it to what exactly is it in its simplest form, it's just positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
It's like teaching a dog, which Alex knows all about right now. So if you do the right thing, if you portray the right action, you do the right thing, or you've got the right habit and you push yourself through it, reward yourself for it, you're going to be far more likely to fucking do it again. Like that is just completely obvious. If it's something really, really scary, I have no idea why you wouldn't actually. So you will get a natural dopamine response anyway. You will feel good, but you'll feel good for a sum total of 2 of the Queen's English seconds. That's it. And that's great, but that's not enough. Your brain will want more. Your brain will want more.
Robert's just fuming at the Queen's English second.
I was going to apologise, but
no, but I think the thing is right. So I think, and maybe it's as men, we've got to be cool. We've not got to show too much emotion. You've got to be, heck no. Like, allow that to come in. If you feel good inside, let it come out. You know, whatever your target is, your big goal, whatever that may be, celebrate on the journey. But a lot of people see the beginning and the end. They see where they started. They see the end result. Warriors are made in the middle. Champions are made in the middle. Success is in the middle. You know, it's the fun part. And that journey that you go through can be hard. It can be a grind, but embrace it and enjoy it, you know, and allow yourself to do that. Give yourself permission to have joy through this. And Alec, you touch on a great point. A lot of people think that they should always be a 10 when they wake up in the morning. Heck no, sometimes you're a 4. But it's allowing yourself to recognize that you're a 4 that allows you to move forward throughout the day, you know? And I think it's important that you develop that and recognize that, you know, I think everything has its opposite: virtue, vice, love, hate, joy, sadness, and just go with that, you know?
And I think for me, so this is how I actually use this point to explain to the men that I work with, is I use the quote. I don't use a quote at all because that doesn't help. I use the quote from Coach Carter. So if you haven't watched Coach, oh my goodness gracious me, if you haven't watched Coach Carter would inevitably be a brilliant film about anoraks. But if you haven't watched Coach Carter,
oh my God.
So the quote there is, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, it's that we are powerful beyond measure. And he goes on to say, there's nothing enlightened about shrinking around other people so that you fit in. And that's exactly it. We don't want to celebrate because we don't want to look like idiots in front of other people. When in actual fact, you being you and being the powerful version of you is exactly what that person might need to see to light a fire inside them, or give them a drive to go and do something similar. Like, just think of whenever you're watching footy matches, think Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi, or whenever you're watching, I don't know, Rob might watch wrestling, I don't know, or wrestling. Just think of the superstars. Think of the superstars that you think of. Like, you don't watch them being weak and go, yeah, I want to do that, or just shriveling inside themselves. They might show that they're weak, but they'll do it in a powerful way. They're just owning them. And that's that. And that inspires people. That inspires me. That inspires you. That might be the thing that someone that you don't even know saw you do today.
I think it's the recognition, isn't it, that by us being like that, it actually lifts other people up. And, you know, if you want to inspire people, make a difference in the world, what a way to do it.
And also, don't get me wrong, it's going to piss people off as well. Like, certain people will not like it because they don't do it. They don't have that. You've got to have a bit of panache.
And who cares? Who cares what the naysayers think? Who cares?
See, my thought and my mindset around the naysayers is that really the only reason that they're actually pissed off is they're not actually pissed off with you going out and being awesome and doing you. They're actually pissed off with themselves because they aren't doing that. That's my belief. That's the way I see it. I think that they're just kind of
that is the truth.
Yep.
Shrinking within themselves, holding back, and holding back is painful. Holding back is painful. So don't do it. Let it rip. Like, imagine like trying to hold in a fart. That's what it is. Like, that's literally what it is. I hope that's a good analogy. I hope you two agree with that analogy. I just think it, like, holding yourself back is like holding in a fart. Let it rip. Let it go and enjoy the smell. Well, maybe don't enjoy the smell, but do you know what I mean? Like,
that is not the analogy I would have used. However, it works.
Do you know what I think of?
Well, no. So let me just take this even further. Let's just see how crazy and ridiculous we can make this, right? So
yeah, I just talk to myself.
If we're all like sat in a room and there's a whole bunch of us, like 20 odd people together, and you know, like you're holding in a fart. And
are we still going with this?
The general decorum and the general etiquette is for everybody to hold in a fart. If you're trying hard to hold it in,
Rob, can we mute him?
like, it's painful. It's honestly right. But it's painful to do. And if you're holding it in, and if everyone's holding it in, you're focusing your attention isn't on anyone else or whatever. It's just on like literally holding it in and containing yourself. And you put time and effort into containing yourself rather than on the people around you. Whereas if you let it go and someone else, like, if they let it go and everyone lets it go, everyone just goes and has a fucking great time. That you can forget about everything. There is no care in the world. Like, you're essentially completely naked, free to enjoy yourself. Get on with it. Let it rip. I believe I've literally kind of just decorated goal setting and an empowering future in disguised as a fart. So I'm sorry for that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, so what I was going to say is I was going to refer to Jocko Willink when he talks about it's easier to rein someone back in than it is to push them to go. It's the same thing. If you think of these people, or think of...
That's exactly what I meant. Exactly what I meant.
Someone who contains themselves and hides themselves versus someone who shows himself, and you kind of know what you've got with that person. Who are you going to trust more? You would trust who would you trust more to get something done?
The most authentic thing we can do is be authentic, you know, and that's, you know, if you want to do something, don't let your worry of thinking about what other people may say or do stop you from being who you are and who you want to be. Because eventually they will subside and you will be on a different plane and a different place, a different mindset. But it all starts from doing the small things.
We will cover in detail kind of significance and connection and dealing with fear of what people think about you and stuff like that when we do the full course. I mean, we said at the start, which is kind of jeopardizes really. We said we weren't going to go too sciencey, and then I mean, we've just exploded a load of like neuroscience stuff scattered throughout this. But then we even that out by talking about
that, Chris. I feel like I've balanced that out by talking about farts. Is that what you were just saying?
That is literally what I was just saying then. Yeah.
Perfect. Were they all the questions that you'd got written down for everyone to go through, by the way, as well?
That's it.
Do you want to just quickly recap, just reel those off one after another so they can make sure that they've got it?
So it's as simple as this, guys. What are you going to do today? What is the task at hand, or what do you want to achieve? Doesn't matter what word you use, just set your purpose. Number 2, what is the problem? What is the obstacle? What's going to stop you, or what is currently stopping you? Identify that. What is the solution? What is the solution? How do you overcome it? Like, what you'll find is you'll write down something very, very simple, and then the thing that's stopping you is you in here. That's the problem. It will be that simple 99% of the time. Then diarize it if you can. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do that thing? And then the last thing is give yourself a reward when you do it, man. Simple as that. Simple as that.
Awesome stuff. So for those people who are on the Elite Health and Wellness program, those worksheets, we will put those into our group. You'll be able to work through those. Again, ask us any questions, talk about anything you need any help with. We'll more than happily answer all those questions. I think any final remarks, Robert? Anything you want to add?
No, brilliant. Great information, Chris. Brilliant, Alex. I just do what makes you happy and work hard, you know, and you'll find that as you do that, then everything starts to shift. The elements of the things that are holding you back will start to shift, and you'll see a change. And I did like, I don't want to digress and go back, but I did like something you touched upon earlier, Alex. It's going from a 2 to a 10 can seem like a unsurmountable task, but going from, you could go to a 10 for 1 or 2 days and then you're back to a 2. But if you go from 2 to a 3, 3 to a 5, 5 to a 7, 7 to a 9, 9 to a 10, it will be better in the long run than trying to take that big flip. So I really like that, the way you put that there. I really appreciate that, bud.
I'll tell you what, you're just lucky that the scale stops at 10 and not 11.
No, I'm an 11 sometimes. Sometimes I get to an 11.
Brilliant. So I think that pretty much caps everything off, Chris. Nice one for bringing that to the party. Again, give us a shout, drop us any questions, let us know if there's anything you need, guys. Take care.